Hi, welcome to the Safe Zone with Kimberly Humphreys. I work with clients one-on-one to provide a safe place for you to be, feel, heal, and grow. And I am so thrilled to have one of my clients be willing to be interviewed and to share his story. I'm overjoyed, really, to have you here. I'm excited about your story, and I can't wait for everyone to hear it. So, Harold Winey is who I have with me. And Harold, tell us how it began for you.
Okay. Well, first of all, it's a pleasure to be here with you. Happy that we've gotten to a place where we could do something like this.
Really?
You and I met April 2020.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes, April 1st.
April 1st of 2020. Wow, time flies.
Yes.
And actually, we didn't meet to work one-on-one. We met as part of some couples coaching that you were doing for myself and my wife. And if you remember, you wanted to kind of speak to me one-on-one just to get to know me a little bit as part of the couples coaching that we were going through.
That's right.
And you learned a little bit about the self-healing and self-improvement work that I had done on my own. And there's a lot of synergy there. There was a lot of things that kind of clicked. And, you kind of said, well, if you're ready to do more work, if you're ready to dig in, I'm ready. I'm willing to help. And that's kind of how our journey started together. And man, it's taken a lot of winding roads to get to where we are today. But yeah, that's kind of how it all started for us.
That's right.
Do you remember all of that?
I do. I remember our first conversation and just feeling like he's right at the place where I believe I can help him and make a difference. And I don't remember if it was you or me that said, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Yeah. No, you said that.
I said that.
Yeah,
okay.
that's what you said.
That was my reaction or
Right.
response to everything that you had said to me.
Right.
How did you feel about me being that person that you have been looking for? You actually said, I've done all this work, but now I feel like I just need somebody that I can help take me to the next level.
So anybody that's done this work knows that this is not easy. In order for you to heal, you have to be willing to take on some, we all have our stuff, right? We all have our bag of stuff. You have to be willing to open the bag and jump in the bag and deal with the stuff. And I have been successful at doing a lot of that on my own, but you're left with all of these puzzle pieces, right? You understand bits and pieces about a whole bunch of stuff, but you still haven't put it together yet to make it actually make sense. And so I feel like, for any of us that tries to self-teach ourselves something, eventually you have to go to the master and say, okay, I have some skills here, but now I need to figure out what to do with them. And so just the universe working the way that it works,
Yes.
I felt like, okay, I've done a lot, but now I need to understand the purpose and the meaning behind all of it. And that's what I felt that you could provide to me. And you've delivered on that 100 times more than I ever thought possible. But yeah, so that was the value that you brought. And I was ready. The thing was, I was ready for that value. I was ready to take that next step.
That's important.
And when I was ready, you appeared out of nowhere. Like, man, where'd she come from? But yeah, that's kind of how it worked. That's kind of how it happened.
That is how the universe works.
Yeah.
And a question, was there a point or time when you wanted to give up or quit?
Oh yeah, pick a day. Yesterday. No, seriously. Yeah, it was really tough in the beginning. Just to share a little bit about my story.
Yes, please.
I lost my dad in February, and that was a huge blow. It was an accident, so it wasn't something that we were prepared for or that we were expecting. So we dealt with that. Shortly thereafter, my wife decided that she wanted to separate from our marriage, and she kind of wanted to work on some things, but she felt that it would be better for her to do it by herself. And I'm like, man, that's okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Devastation number two.
Two devastations within a matter of a couple of weeks of one another. I contracted COVID shortly thereafter, and I kind of had to brave through that. And I shouldn't say that I had to brave through it alone.
Tell the story, how you caught the COVID.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll tell that story. So my 11-year-old daughter actually contracted the virus, and I contracted it from taking care of her. And I'm going to circle back to that story a little bit later in the interview when we start to talk about where we are today and the meaning and the purpose behind the stuff. But yeah, so she was sick. She had really bad symptoms, and through taking care of her, I contracted the virus as well. I was going through some growing pains with my business. For those who know anything about real estate here in the market, in the Valley, the market has been, some people would say on fire, but those are not people who work in the business to know what that means. So it's been very difficult to get clients under contract for home purchases based on the state of the market and the lack of inventory that we have. So it was just a lot. It was a lot going on. Me dealing with my personal self, trying to be there for my family and to be a support system for them, and trying to grieve my dad's death at the same time, having to deal with my relationship with my wife and having her leave, and now we're shuffling our daughter back and forth between homes, and being sick with COVID, trying to figure out my business, and just trying to understand what's the meaning behind all of these seemingly horrible things that are going on. What's the point there? And so that led to a lot of frustration. You talked me off of the ledge many a days, and there were days where I just lost the desire to deal. I was like, I've had enough of this stuff. I can go and do something else. I don't need to give this much of myself to something that I don't really see where the benefits are coming from. But for whatever reason, I kept moving forward, kept taking it a day at a time. And now that I know what I know, I'm so grateful that I did, because there was a purpose behind all of it.
Absolutely.
And the end result has been so worth it. So yeah, I felt like quitting many a days, and I understand wholeheartedly now how people can get to such low points to where they give up hope.
Yeah, of course.
But you have to have angels in your life that are willing to help, willing to share, willing to give you different perspectives, because that is the way that we are able to find the strength to take that next step.
And the angels will come when you're ready for them. When you
Absolutely.
When you can recognize them, because they're coming.
Well, they're all around us.
Yes, all the time.
You just have to know what you're looking at.
You just have to recognize it as such. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so, what would you say was the turning point in your journey here, this journey?
Oh man!
And what do you think triggered it, or
I would say the turning point for me was when I learned the value in being flexible with my mindset and my perspective. And that's one of the things that we worked on early, and I gave you a hard time with it. I would call you and tell you about things that were happening, and you would ask me, well, so what do you think that means? What do you think the reason is for that? And I'd say, heck, you're the professional. I don't know. That's the reason why I'm asking you. If I knew, I wouldn't be on the phone with you. But what you were challenging me to do was to understand that in everything that we experience, there's a lesson there. Mm-hmm. And you can't get despondent with the situation and miss the lesson. That means that the experience was for nothing. You missed the whole point. And when you get the experience and you get the message and you get the lesson from the experience, then you grow as a person. And once you can piece a few of those together, then you start to look, okay, that wasn't as bad as I thought that it was, now that I know what I was able to get from it.
From it, amen.
And so that was where I think the point started to turn for me, was having a different mindset and looking at things from a slightly different perspective as to, okay, there has to be a meaning here. These are the cards that I've been dealt, so it is what it is. So now what do I do with this? How do I make this work for me? And then you have to roll up the sleeves and do the work. That's where the rubber meets the road. So
when you say the work, I think that maybe everybody may not know what that means. What do you mean when you say work?
When I say the work, it means that, you know, a lot of times when we go through things, it's easy to get depressed. It is easy to grab a victim's mentality. Oh my God, the world is just doing me wrong. I don't deserve this. I'm a good person. I try to do the right thing. Why is this happening to me? And when you do that, you start going down a rabbit hole that takes you into a place that is very difficult to get out of. So when I say the work, I mean to look at the situation and say, okay, that was not good, but okay, first accept it. Let's just accept the fact that this happened. It's not a dream. It's not going to go away tomorrow. Once you accept it, and then you can start to focus on, well, what does it mean? Why is this going on, and what am I supposed to get from this? And then once you're able to figure that out, then you accept the lesson. You allow the lesson to teach you. And that's what I mean by the work. You have to go through this process. You have to go through the entire process so that at the end you say, oh, that's what that was about. Okay, I got it. That makes sense now.
What would you say gave you the strength and the ability to do that work? What was a key for you?
So I don't want to turn the conversation into this religious thing, because I want to be respectful to everyone's belief. But for me, it was just my faith in the higher power that breathes in me. There's no way that I get through any of this without that.
Well, without question. There's no one that's breathing that doesn't have the same power in them.
Exactly.
So it's not religious at all. It's just the nature of who we are.
I'll share this story with you. One night when I had COVID, I had 104-degree fever for like 3-4 days in a row.
I remember. Mm-hmm.
And one night I woke up, Kim, and my clothes were soaking wet. My sheets were wet. I'm buried under the comforter because I'm freezing, and I have chills and just going through this stuff. And I just couldn't figure out how I was going to continue to make it through, because it just was bad. The headaches were pounding. I was having backaches. My chest was hurting. My feet were hurting. I couldn't understand what was the deal with the feet. My feet were hurting. Everything was just bad. And I just started to pray. And I said, you know, I'm accepting what I'm going through. I'm not complaining, but I really need some grace right now, because, you know, the symptoms are becoming to be unbearable. And I would say within the hour, the fever was gone. It never came back. The body aches were gone. I was still sick, but not nearly as sick as I was an hour prior to.
And what did that do to your faith?
It just strengthened my faith, and it let me know that there's power in prayer. And I was like, okay, let me see what else I could ask for.
I remember this.
Yeah,
I'm so glad you're going back here.
So there were a couple of other things that I prayed for as well. And the doors that are opening to me right now, and the opportunities that have been presented in front of me, are absolutely astounding. But I would not have been in a position to receive those blessings had I not gone through this process. And that's the part that I want people to know. There's no easy way around it. There's not a pill, there's not a drink that you can drink. You have to go through the process. You have to do the work.
And I just want to point out a profound truth about that process.
Okay.
After that amazing experience, you said, when things didn't look like they were going through again, you were like, I'm tired of this. I'm done with this. And before you got to where you are now, what got you through that?
Well, you're right. So I prayed for some specific things from a professional perspective, and those things didn't play out the way that I thought that they would. And I could have just gone back to that's what this is what's always happening at. But you said to me one day, you said, if that is meant for you, then it will be. No one can take that from you. There's no one that can stop your blessings. If it's not meant for you, it wasn't the right situation. And so I took that and I said, okay.
Something better.
Something better will be there to replace that. You knew what I wanted to do with my business, with the business coaching and the training and mentorship stuff that I do with professionals. That is my purpose and that's my passion. Those other opportunities were real opportunities, but they weren't the things in the lane that I really want to do. And now the things that I'm interested in doing, those are the lanes that are opening up to me. And I am just excited about the possibilities. I'm excited to see where the journey is going to take me. And I'm just happy that I was able to continue to push through. We all hit a ceiling at some point in time. It takes a lot of energy to bust through the ceiling and then make that ceiling your new floor and to continue to rise.
Yes,
you don't get through the ceiling by just knocking on it. You have to break through it.
That's right.
And it takes a little bit of work. So I feel like when I had those opportunities presented, I felt like I was at the pinnacle. I was at the ceiling, but that wasn't really where I wanted to be. So I had to get through that in order for some more stuff to open up to me. And that's what's happening now.
That's amazing. It's amazing. I'm so, like I said, thrilled that you're sharing the story with me, because there are so many people out there that need to know that just because it doesn't look the way or feel the way you want it, and you've been doing so much for so long, and it's not coming through, it will, won't it?
It will. It 100% will. Absolutely. So yeah,
you said, you got to do the work.
But you have to do the work. Yeah.
And it always helps to have. Well, it doesn't just always help. Most times, you need someone to help expand that awareness.
Yeah, I will never be able, like I said, to repay you. The opportunity to be able to get stuff off of your chest and to share is powerful, because we get in our heads, the negative thoughts creep in, it leads you down this depressed road, and your hopes and your dreams start to fade. But to have a positive influence there to keep you upbeat, to keep you seeing the power of prayer, to keep you being hopeful, to keep you with the possibilities of what is out there for you, is the one thing that allowed me to just continue forward, to continue to put one foot in front of the other and know that I'm walking in faith. I don't always know where I'm walking to, but I believe that there's something very awesome waiting for me when I get there.
Amen.
And so I know that I could not have done that alone. And so again, I'm filled with gratitude for the experience that we've been able to share with one another to this point.
And I have gratitude to be honored to be able to serve in that area for you and for anyone else who is going through something that they just can't see the other side, or they can't figure out how to get there. And so there is a way. And can you share one or two of the keys that you received from me that made the difference for you?
Mindset, mind shift. We all have our own set of lenses, and we have our perspective on the things that happen to us. It's our perspective. And we're allowed to have that. It's
Absolutely.
ours. It belongs to us.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't mean that that's the only perspective. There could be endless other perspectives that you can see life from. And once I was able to start to do that, then I was able to say, well, maybe things are not as bad as I think that they are. Maybe there's a lesson and a reason for all of this. And I said earlier that I would circle back, and this is a good time to do that. Considering what I was going through when I caught COVID, I was extremely frustrated. And I could have gone down the path of blaming people for not wearing masks and for not being vaccinated and for not doing this and not doing that. And, I could have been upset that I caught this virus and went through all of this stuff. But what I was able to do was I was able to say, okay, my daughter, who I love more than anything, caught the virus. I took care of her every hour on the hour. I brought her medicine every 4 hours. I brought her fluids every hour. I would set my alarm and wake up in the middle of the night to do these things. I rubbed her back when her back was hurting. I put heating pads on her back and on her stomach to stop the body aches. I put ice packs on her legs and on her head to stop the headaches. I brought her food 3 times a day and tried to get her to eat. And I did all these things because I'm her dad, and that's my responsibility to look out for her and take care of her. And we experienced this together, and my child will always remember that at one of her lowest points in terms of being sick, that her dad was there with her from the very beginning to the end. And I'm grateful to have been in a position to do that. And oh, by the way, I caught COVID, but I would catch COVID 100 more times if it allowed me to be able to be there for her. That's a mind shift. Mm-hmm. That's a perspective shift.
Yes.
That's removing a victim's mentality from my psyche and looking at the blessing that was in front of me and what I was able to accomplish by doing that.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's probably one of the biggest things that I've gotten from that. And also to learn to give yourself grace, to not beat yourself up and to not be so hard on yourself. It's okay.
Yes.
It's just life. You just live, you do the best you can, you try to remain positive, you remain hopeful, you live in faith, and you just keep moving forward.
And that yields the best results.
Yes. Yes, it does. So.
Well, I want to thank you for taking this time out, sharing your story. Is there anything else that you want to say?
Yes, because if I don't, you won't. Like I said, am fully grateful for the opportunity that I've had to work with you. There's many of us out there that have various levels of understanding of our situation, our background, where we come from, the things that we struggle with. And a lot of times you just need a coach to kind of not give you the answers, but maybe ask you the right questions to help you to find the answers. And one of the things that I have been grateful for is your ability to challenge me to dig deeper and to think deeper. So for any of you out there, I highly recommend Kimberly Humphreys and what she's doing. She's helped me tremendously in a very organic way. This wasn't some manufactured thing where I had to go and read books, although she sent me books to read. Where you had to follow this 12-step process and all of a sudden the answers are there. It's been very organic and we've learned from each other along the way. And I believe that she can do the same thing for any of you out there who need help, whatever degree of help that may be. It may be deep help to get from a very bad place. It may just be to try to help you to figure out what your purpose in life is. And she can do all of it. So Kim, before we end, tell them how they can get in touch with you in the event that somebody is interested in getting some work done with you.
Thank you, Harold. Thank you very much. I have a website. It's heartjoytoday.com. When you go there, there will be a pop-up asking you to get in touch with me, and just fill it out, and I will be in touch with you as soon as possible. My phone number is 602-688-2632, and you can reach me that way as well. And as Harold said, no matter what level of help you need, I would love to do that for you.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I enjoyed this. This is a good start. We have a lot more to the story that we didn't talk about today, and maybe we'll get a chance to do more of these, but thank you for letting me share my story on your platform.
Thank you for sharing it. I am so honored. Just remember the Safe Zone with Kimberly Humphreys, where you can be, feel, heal, and grow in a safe place.